Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's WNR527. It's NXT update, and it's NXT Heatwave. I'm not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by a resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Excited to be back here talking about NXT again. It's been a lot of movement, a lot of activity in NXT as of just in the few weeks that we haven't talked about it. So uh, honestly, I sometimes I tune in or I've been tuning in and I noticed something different. Like the way it's booked is chaotic, but it's a good chaotic, So uh, I'm excited to talk about it. That's one thing about it. It's been on a good run. I think we both can agree, and I'm ready to talk about it more in depth.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, again, like I said, there's a lot of NXT and news going around. So, we're going to split this into two updates. Today, we're going to have 4 NXTs and Heatwave. The next one, we'll have 6 NXTs, including 2 Great American Bashes. We'll be able to catch up with everything. So, let's get on with it then. June 18th. And we start with the NXT Championship number 1 contender Battle Royal. And the surprising person that came out was Joe Hendry.
Say his name,
yeah, he was. If you go off the internet, he's been begged for a lot. And even as somebody like me, I've always kind of known about Joe Hendry because I remember when he was just in the British scene, I guess, or just many years ago before Impact. And the popularity, he's always kind of had a base, but like since really being in Impact the last few years or so, and just getting himself over, I think the biggest thing to me is just how much I know Impact happens in Florida, but it's still amazing to see just how popular he is.
Without a doubt, and he was the second last entrant in the Battle Royal. Cut a passionate promo about bringing the NXT Championship to TNA. He did look great, and like I said, what a pop. However, the NXT locker room teamed up to eliminate him
Which
first.
made sense.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people at the time, though, were like, they buried TNA.
Oh, they hated it.
How dare you?
Yeah, they hated it, but it made sense because, the fanfare and just the promo and just all the energy and everything that he brought. It did make sense for NXT to be like, oh, no, you're not going to, especially when you're threatening to take the titles away. But they did do, WWE did do, or NXT did do a good job of letting people know. They kind of even put it out on like, I think you saw him come backstage and Shawn Michaels was embraced or talked to him a little bit. And it was a little bit of a tease to let you know that this was just the beginning. And I think that's what kind of made it. But I understood at the time because at the time it looked like, oh, man, he's here. And then, Jordan Grace just lost. So it's just like a lot of, Impact is losing everything in this when in reality we had so much more to come.
Yeah, exactly. The fans were chanting bullshit, when Hendry went. But we see Fraser eliminating the Don, who later offered him a Heritage Cup match. Fraser quickly signalled, despite Axel telling him to focus on their tag team goal. But that's another story we'll get into. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." We got another TNA representative as well, which was Frankie Kazarian. And it got down to the final 4 with him, Spears, Evans, and Dragon. Again, it was interesting to see Javon Evans being involved here. We see Kaz sending him over the top rope. Sean Spears took out Dragon Lee, but ran into a cyclone kick from the young OG, wiped and set up the final elimination. Also, another story going on, Aura Mensa attacked Ethan Page, taking him out of the contest without an elimination. Backstage, All Ego and Evans agreed to a main event, determining the rightful number 1 contender. And again, a lot of stories going on with NXT just to kind of kick off the update of what we will see happening in the coming weeks.
Yeah, like you said, everything that kind of stemmed from this episode, or just a lot of the things we saw here, kind of is what like you said, is what kind of continue to make where we pretty much are in current time in NXT right now. And that's again, like I said, I just gotta commend NXT for making it make sense, even though, like I mentioned, it's just very chaotic, especially when you compare it to maybe the main roster. Like I think the main roster, we pretty much know the story beats and the continuations on a week-to-week basis. You can almost not necessarily knowing where they're gonna go, but you know who's gonna be the main focus. But when it comes to NXT right now, they're doing a really good job of kind of sharing the wealth. sharing the TV time, which I could talk about in numerous ways throughout the show if you really think about it.
Right now, well, we see an argument breaking out backstage among the women of NXT, led by Henley, who claims she's the only one who deserved a shot at Jordan. We see Gallows and Anderson mocking Chase U backstage for letting Ridge Holland in. Seemed to set up a match for later, but I mean they've got a point. Roxanne Perez, Lola Vice versus Metaphor versus Jacy Jane and Jasmine Nix, and the Prodigy took a shot, forcing a tag in after Vice hit the spinning back fist on Jakira Jackson. Perez hit Pop Rocks to win. Afterwards, Perez laid out a tag team partner with a spinning back fist, and Balfour Vice could do anything about it. And again, with these two, and we're going to talk probably more about Heatwave, but the kind of build up here, we've talked about Roxanne Perez, but how do you think Lola Vice has kind of dealt being this number one contender as we head to Heatwave?
I think character-wise, or I don't mind it. I like so far. I like the promos. I like what she's been able to what she's been able to do to make herself more legitimate. Is as legit as you can get in this situation. But the thing is, to me, and it's just me, and I don't know if it's just me thing, but I truthfully wanted to believe that she could beat Roxanne, but to me, I still think it's a distinction of levels when it comes to them, and not just ring work, but even as characters too. Even though I wouldn't act like Roxanne's promos is the greatest. Like she's getting better in her own right. But I just believe that when I think about Roxanne, I still think about the top of the division. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet when it comes to Lola, but I think that's what this entire feud, truthfully, is about. I think truthfully, this entire feud is all about trying to establish and give you that air or that feeling that Lola can be, right there next to him.
Yeah, right. And again, you speak about levels, and there's a lot of development with the women, as we see with the NXT Women's North American Championship. Going to Kalani Jordan, she faced Mi Chin, and again, it was Bronco Nima and Lucien Price distracting the OC, allowing Jada Parker to knock the HBIC off the top rope. Jordan missed the interference, but still had the wherewithal to capitalise with one-of-a-kind moonsault to win. And again, this is a lot better than expected. I don't know what Mi Chin has got on Triple H at this moment in time to be featured so heavily across, it seems, every show. But again, it's still good to see, different people getting opportunities,
I think it's good. I was about to say, if it's anybody who's been kind of just think about what Vince had her doing with Retribution and just how far away from Mia Yim or what she was in her original NXT run. You know what I mean? So like, I love the inclusion of Meech, and she's someone who, in my estimation, has been kind of overlooked for a long time. And it just for me, I think this is good to give her this involvement, but while at the same time allowing her to put over a young talent, or and be involved with other young talent. I really think this is a good opportunity for her, in my opinion. And I like Meech's work. I think that's something that she's always been very, very compelling to me. So I think this cool. Now I'm with you. It's kind of funny when you think about it, because she's prominent, basically, like one of the only prominent baby faces right now against Nia Jax and Tiff, pretty much, on SmackDown. And then you have everything she's doing here for NXT. But so far, I think it's been positive, and it's giving Jada a legitimate person to work against. Now, I will say this: you got to be careful. You don't want to overexpose, and then to the point to where we just almost I think we're almost getting to that point with Meechin where you almost expect her to put over the talent, and that's that I think she still has potential for herself. So if she actually wants to rise, you don't want to make a habit out of just coming to lose to the young talent. But at the same time, I do think that this is a positive.
Yeah, and it's ironic as well that the Good Brothers, the partners in the OC, have that same problem. So again,
right?
It's not.
yeah, exactly. Overexposed. I agree. It's very funny that they're literally in the same place, just in different divisions.
Speaking about the men's North American champion, Obafemi called out a familiar feeling after each victory. No matter how many step up to him, the result remains the same. Wesley interrupted to demand another match. If he's not pinned at Battleground, the Nigerian Giant was ready to walk out, but Lee declared he's still the best North American champion ever. Femi agreed to a title match, but said this would be Lee's only single shot at the gold. Now, Monty, we've mentioned this before. I love Wesley, but surely, there is a point where you just think, maybe I'll go for the Heritage Cup. Do you know what I mean? Just take it easy.
Yeah, at some point you would think that you would give up on it. You not only, and it'd be different if this was something that we know he was chasing pre-injury that he never run. But you're literally at this point already known as the greatest. Or one of the greatest, if not the greatest North American champion? So why do you have to put yourself through this?
Yeah. You
and challenge a guy like
on.
that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Why do you even have to try? So I get it. But I did. I don't mind it either because I do understand. But from a logical standpoint, I don't want to fight that guy. Point of view, no, get the hell out of there. Where it's like, come on, man, the Don is right there. You can handle the Don.
Exactly. There's two people I wouldn't want to wrestle. Femi and Brooks Jensen because he's shit. But anyway, he caused the scene in the crowd that distracted from the promo. Police arrested Jensen in the background of an Eddie Thorpe interview. Oh my God, we're getting to that. Gallus complained backstage about Lee talking his way into a title match, but Tyson DuPont and Tyree Igwe attacked them before they could act. Got Fallon Henley versus Carly Bright, with Wendy Chu choking out Gray at ringside for Fallon Henley and took down Bright with a Shining Wizard to win. Is Fallon doing Mickey James cosplay? Because again, I didn't see that match of the passing of the torch. But, or am I allowed to say that? Is that racist, Monty? Because cowboys could be cowboys, Not everyone looks like Mickey James.
Hey, you can say it. It probably might not be looked at the right way if I said it, though. I believe. I don't know. But I'm with you. It's definitely give off those Mickey James vibes, so I get it, but. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if she's officially retired, but she's pretty much slow and done. So maybe she's maybe it's a social media passing of the torch or something.
I wouldn't want Nick Aldis traveling with Fallon Henley. Do you know what I mean?
Right, get confused.
Yeah,
right.
Hank told Tank that he was clear for action, and they would challenge Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. That's when you're kind of behind on an update a little bit with, Tyler Bate, but we'll get onto this. Tavian Heights agreed to join No Quarter Catch Crew, though Charlie Dempsey told him he had to earn it by beating Damon Kemp. Again, we'll get to it in a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. But Tavian Heights, he has been on Impact. He looked quite impressive. And I don't know if you know this, but he's been in the Olympics because they mention it every time he's on TV.
Yeah, I think I figured it out. After the 100th mention.
Really? The OC versus Chase U. Duke Hudson pulled out a shocking result, rolling up Anderson for free with a time assist from Ridge Holland. After that, Hudson and Holland refused to admit the Englishman cheated to set up the Chase U win. We'll just move on from that. NXT General Manager Ava talked with Kalani Jordan about an ex-challenger. Jordan wanted to give Sol Ruka, but Ariana Grace butted in, setting up a match next week between Ruka and Grace. And we see Henley commiserated with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix about Ruka and Grace jumping in line for a title opportunity. Trick then congratulated Evans in the trainer's room, questioned if he was healthy enough to fight Paige. Champion said he didn't want Paige in NXT. He was an outsider taking shortcuts, leading to the main event between Paige and Evans. Paige tripped the young OG on the top rope and hit the Ego's Edge for victory. Sean Spears arrived to beat down Evans with the help of Trick. Young OG cleared the ring with a double springboard cutter. All four men were laid out in the ring as the NXT Championship magically was in the middle of the ring as all four were kind of reaching it. Well, that was what they tried anyway. But again, this is why we love NXT for. We knew coming out of Stand and Deliver how good Trick Williams was, and we were kind of questioning what they needed to do. And here you've got young OG, Sean Spears, and like I said, all ego, and it's nice, It's that's all I'm saying here with this.
Yeah, no, that's what you want, and I think we talked about that. I think if people went back and they listened, I know it's, like you said, it'll probably feel more outdated than some of the stuff we're talking about now. But we talked about what would be next. Like we knew Trick was on top, but sometimes as champion, you're only as good as the guys or the storylines that involves the chase, and like who's chasing, how are we accomplishing this, and like where are they coming from. And I think that is the beauty, like you said, the beauty of what they've been doing so far. They've done a great job, in my opinion, of building up people who are, literally looking forward to trying to chase down the title. It feels like the top prize in the brand because of that. When you have multiple people, and then they have. I love how they kind of feel different parts or different positions too, because you have, you can say, but you can say what you want about the young OG, but he is very young as part of the gimmick. He's new, he's fresh, and then you have a guy like Sean Spears, who we all know, even though he's never been NXT before, he is a veteran in the business, veteran in NXT. Then you have Ethan Page, an outsider, but someone who is trying to prove himself, talks a big game. You know what I mean? All ego, we get it. He's someone who can be considered now one of the big threats. And then of course you have Trick being on top of the NXT and being the biggest star. So I think this is beautiful. I think it was a well executed, even if you kind of have to look at it and see Javon being smart enough to get the belt in the middle, but it was still smart. It was still a good move. Like you said, we got it. Yeah, we got it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I think this is beautiful from that perspective because, like you mentioned, like I mentioned, even with Roxanne, I talked about that last time. You're only as good, in my opinion, as who are the people who are chasing you and the stories that you are allowed to tell from that perspective. And I think that what we're getting right now is what you would want.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. We move on to June 25th, number one contendership for the tag team titles. It's a tag turmoil. Adrianoff Mallet Blade opened with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. New Catch Republic took the first fall with elimination. Apollo Crews arrived to distract LWO, setting up Bate to hit Berto with the Tyler Driver for the win. The OC couldn't stop the runners. Dunne caught Anderson with a roll-up. Andre Chase caught a vulnerable Bate with a diving crossbody to pick up the final 3 count for the win. There is 2 things I want to talk about here. I enjoyed the match, but first off, some people just can't get away from NXT. Don't matter, Pete or Dunne, Bate, LWO, whoever. And another thing as well is how similar the booking for NXT is to the main roster, just a few months apart, if you know what I mean, Monty. Even looking at this now, I'm just thinking, we've just had this on SmackDown. Like, it's kind of, it's the same philosophy, which, again, it's not an issue, but it's just when you look at it, you think, oh, fucking hell, it is. I might have lost Monty. Maybe I bored him to death with my talk for NXT.
Oh, I've been talking on mute.
Oh, thank fuck for that. Do you know what? I just thought you had enough of me. I thought this was. I knew it would happen at one pod where you just go, do you know what? I'm done. But
yeah, screw this. No. But no, like I was saying, it's just one of those things. Maybe we watch too much wrestling. It's like that. Maybe that's what it is. They want you. You're not supposed to remember that, James, that you just saw SmackDown a few months back. But no, it's very, very cool. And like you said, that's why I like looking at certain things that differentiate from the two, because they do have a lot in common when you think about approach. And I don't know if it's just. I don't know if Sean picked up a lot of what he does from paying attention to what Triple H was doing when he was running NXT or what. But again, I just think it's very, very cool. But like you said, one of those things where it's like, wow, But as far as the guys, like, man, Apollo, like, I don't know, man. Some people, like you said, as long as they're doing something, I believe. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, you just want to do something. Like, I'm tired of being back. I'm backstage here. I'm doing this. I sat around for this. You know, if I got to go back to NXT, and oh my good, it doesn't matter what incarnation of Legato, they will never leave
Just
NXT.
can't get away.
Yeah, they will never leave. So yeah, good times though.
Yeah, right now. Well, Ridge Holland refused to take blame for New Catch Republic's loss backstage. Hank and Tank officially challenged Bate and Dunn for next week. Hudson ordered photos from last week's match, and Holland did not want the MVP to see him. Like we care. Backstage, Gallows and Anderson laid out OTM with steel chairs. Michin and JD Parker brawled until officials broke it up. And then we see All Ego, Ethan Page called out Ava to demand an NXT Championship match against Trick Williams. The NXT General Manager came out, followed by Sean Spears, who considered himself worthy of a title shot. When Trick came out to confront them, both heels beat him down until Javon Evans made the save. I think what's more important than this, though, Monty, you know where I'm going to go. Stevie Turner and Mr. Stone argued over who should be Ava's assistant, with both promising to win. I smell a rom-com. Come on, we've not had it in a while. This is going to be it, isn't it? The story of the summer.
No, please no. Yeah, please no. Have they just? I know we talked about her stupid gimmick in NXT UK, but like did Jordan Grace knock the wrestler out of Stevie or something like what? Did she gave up on that? I get it. You know, you wrestle somebody like Jordan one time, I probably stopped. You know, I don't know if this is for me anymore. Maybe I need to go help Ava out. You know, matter of fact, even with Rob Snow, is that what Ava is attracting? Just the people who just want to stop wrestling?
Yeah, wrestlers who just, you know, want to be.
We're gonna get in the
management.
Yeah,
it's just. I reckon it will. I reckon Stone is flirting so hard, and Stevie, you know, she's. I mean, Mr. Stone must have something to pull him from Wagner, you know. So I'm just saying, like that is maybe Stevie Turner will be invited to see Mr. Stone's weird kids. Like maybe that will be something that we see. Anyway, who knows? In the locker room, Petrovic watched footage from last week. The progeny did not appreciate it. An argument set up a match later. Axiom promised to be in Fraser's corner for his match despite his misgivings about his friend spreading himself too thin. Sarah Schreiber interviewed a confident Don, head of a Heritage Cup, which was Tony D versus Nathan Fraser. Fraser rolled up Tony D in round one to get the first fall. The Don responded with impactful spine buster a minute into the second for his first fall. Right shoulder injury down the stretch gave Fraser an opening, but the bell saved the Don until it couldn't hit an elevated spine buster. And then we see the Don getting a win in round 6. And I tell you what, this is probably the best the Don has looked. Maybe just wrestling for 3 minutes and having a minute break is actually going to help him. But again, another storyline we could talk about is Fraser. I mean, Axiom had a proper go at Fraser for spreading himself too thin. I think he was right. But then again, who knows?
He's 100% right. And I don't know if you noticed either, like on social media, I think Axiom or one of them Fraser had already had one, a fight. I mean, yeah, a speed match. And then I think Fraser has, or Axiom has one coming up, and they've been kind of shading each other on social media in regards to that. So it's real interesting, the dynamic. I think I think personally they haven't really hidden the fact that Axiom and Fraser are probably not going to be a long-term tag team. You know what I mean? And we talk about it, you know, even, you know, whether it comes to Wesley or whatever, there's definitely plenty of upward mobility opportunities, in my opinion, in NXT right now. And I think some of these are these two both have potential to do big things on their own also. So I think you kind of gotta take that into account, especially when they were kind of like singles guys to begin with. But yeah, man, real interesting. He was Action was definitely 100% right. I think, especially if you're just looking at it from a team perspective. But at the same time, you know, I have to agree with you about the Heritage Cup. Again, it was one of those situations where I was like, I already knew Tony D had pieces. Like you can see it even in the some of the stuff he's done in the past, that he had potential to be damn good. It's just all about usage and just sometimes I think maybe he was injured sometimes too because I always scratch my head why somebody with the potential that he had was doing more vignettes than wrestling and stuff like that. But it seems like now maybe the cup and maybe that's what it is. I know we kind of talk shit about him when he won it, but mostly because we know what the cup kind of has become and what it stands for. So he seemed like an odd pick, especially when taking it off Dempsey. But when you think about what it seemingly doing from him from just a perspective, like a standpoint of okay, he got you can see what he can do. Maybe this can lead to big things for Tony D as far as like improvement goes. And I think at the end of the day, that's what this is about for a big chunk of the talent down there.
Unless they, W actually bought Tony D a restaurant and were like, look, mate, actually it's more cost efficient for you to run the place and do vignettes every week rather than anything else. And again, talk about Razor and Axiom. Like, Axiom, I don't know how I can understand his facial reactions. Like, he must, I don't know if he's kind of learned more about the usage of the arms or whatever it is, but, like, I can tell what he's feeling, man. And he's wearing a mask. Like, that is fantastic.
The body language work is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, not having matching outfits, but not having a team name, is just like you're thinking to yourself, they even named the Wolf Dogs. So if they're not going to bother naming these, then, it's going to, unless they couldn't come up with a name as good as like New Catch Republic,
Right.
Anyway, Roxanne Perez made quick work of Carmen Petrovic, planting them with the Pop Rocks for the win. Afterwards, Lola Vice laid out Perez with a spinning back fist and walked out with the NXT Championship. Vice then gave the women's title to Ava while demanding her title shot at Heatwave. And again, I don't know, challenger, someone laying out a champion and becoming a number one contender. This is new types of booking. But anyway, sad news. Noam Dar told Metaphor he would be out for a while with a leg injury. And Mentor's told the group a passionate story of feeling lonely and finally finding belonging with Metaphor. Now, Monty, obviously it's sad, Noam Dar being injured because how much we love him. But Aura Mensa, man, has already... Because we did this in NXT, didn't we? He took his kind of opportunity when Ashton Smith, I want to say, was injured.
Yeah.
And again, it seems like... I know people going, what the fuck are you talking about, James? Monty, please explain.
No. It's very similar. I didn't think about that until you brought it up. They won in it. Him and Ashton won the NXT UK tag team goal, and he got injured. His partner got injured, and immediately Otto just kind of stepped up and he was already kind of the shining star of the team, but at the same time, I think he upped his work, he upped his level immediately, and became a singles threat. And I want to say, was it the Heritage Cup or it was something I know he was fighting for, and I kind of forgot. But he was literally upping his stock to the point that you can make the case that maybe that's how he ended up getting brought over to NXT instead of just let go. Because of just how impressive that he was, not only in that tag team but after. And I think you're 100% right. At first with the Ethan Page stuff, I thought that the only thing he was going to get out of it was he's going to keep getting these. He's going to run in, but then eventually he would get knocked down, or and they'll just move on, and Ethan Page will use him as a stepping stone. And he very well could still get stepped over, but I think just so far what he's done already since then, in my opinion, as I guess the de facto kind of leader right now in Metaphor. He's already up in his stock, in my opinion. He's already up in his stock. He's doing a really good job of, again, being a threat and being believable. I think the promos have been good. Just all types of stuff that, you would expect from a guy that, again, like you said, this is not the first time he's been here. And I don't know if it's because I don't know if anybody gave him a pep talk and was like, you know what, we're going to need you to kind of up your game because you're going to be representing Metaphor as far as the men's division go instead of Noam. And I think, like you said, so far he's hitting it out the park.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see Taven Heights beat Damon Kemp. Kemp repeatedly questioned Charlie Dempsey and Miles Bourne outside for wanting Heights in the no quarter catch crew. I mean, he beat your mate. and it's going to get worse. Not going to lie. Number one contendership: Sol Ruka versus Ariana Grace. Grace tried her best to keep Sol Ruka off a game, but a Soul Snatcher sealed the victory for her opponent. Afterwards, Jordan came out to stand for a future challenger for a Heatwave promo shot. And I must have been on a rant here because I go, yes, she did slip a couple of times, but it's not about how long she's wrestled. I reckon it's about that injured knee and the subconscious. I mean, you know, like Adam Copeland when he dived off the top of the cage. I mean, once you've had the injury so early into your kind of developing career, you've got to have that in the back of your mind, you know.
And then with the type of the way she wrestles to even do some of the things that she do after a serious injury like that, you know, like you said, mentally, these things are going to happen sometimes. And I 100% agree with you. I think some of that has a lot to do with, you know, what she went through. And, you know, at the end of the day, also, and I think some people don't get this. I don't know if it's a newer fan thing or if it's just one of these things that now that since we got AEW, we have so much competition in wrestling or whatever that people just want to be hypercritical about that. These things happen. These things happen. You know, and like you said, it's going. And then at a place like NXT, this is exactly where it's supposed to be happening. You need to get this out now. You know what I mean? If you're gonna make a mistake, make a mistake. Like I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in just how good or how compelling NXT is that we forget that they're still learning. They're trying to spread their wings, and we have 10-year veterans in wrestling who still make mistakes. So you know they are allowed to make a mistake. But I'm with you. I think 100% some of that is just slipping, and then also some of that is a mental thing. And you know you wish the best for her, and I think she'll be fine. I think at the end of the day, we can tell by presentation. To me, and this is no shot at Lola, because again, I like Lola. I just feel like, to me, presentation wise and just in the ring, you can't tell me that Sol Ruka isn't right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see Fallon Henley plotting with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix on how to take more opportunities in NXT.
She hated those girls, remember?
Yeah, maybe create a group, you know, like about being toxic.
I
don't know.
Yeah, maybe lean into being attractive too. I don't know. We never seen that before.
Well, JC Jane is never gonna get out of that, is she? I mean, again, I don't know.
I'm with you,
G Dolan. Like again,
yeah,
I don't know if she's injured.
gone.
I've not heard anything. Like, and you check as well, see if it releases just before we start.
Yeah, you have exactly. You never know. I hope not, because I thought that she had, you know, something. But to be honest, both of those girls since then just. I hate to say, if they end up on the cutting block one day, we're gonna both of us. Me and you can look back and be everything changed when they let Mandy go, and I don't know how. Because I don't necessarily think Mandy is like like Mandy is not the most charismatic. She's not the worker. So it's like, what the hell was it? Why? Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's very, very weird when you think about it.
This was the best thing about doing the kind of NXTs after all these years, is that you can go back. And like I said, Toxic Attraction were like the number one team, and we were like, there was no way they can fumble this. And it just, sometimes it happens, you know? Like,
sometimes it happens,
It's just weird.
And it's not so simple. And I think that's sometimes people think it's just, you know, you can easily figure these things out. No, like you said, if you watch the NXT at that time, we were entertaining them debuting as a team together. You know, like think about the tag team division on the main roster, like with Isla Dawn and you know, Alba and God, I'm thinking about they changed their name so much. Katana Chance and her partner, who she's been teaming with forever. But again, those were the teams that Toxic Attraction were dominating, and they're still together on television. You see what I'm saying? It's just funny.
To be fair, I think Chance and Carter are the only contracted tag team. Like they
are the only one that's guaranteed to be.
They're the only team. Like,
if you tell me Carter turns on her, I promise you, I'll be so shocked. That'll be the only team.
Off.
Really?
Main event: Trick Williams versus Sean Spears. Aura Mensah attacked Paige again on commentary. She broke it up and sent everyone at the back. And Brooks fucking Jensen ruined what was a fun match just by being there.
Just
he
by
blasted
showing up,
the
yeah.
NXT champion with the announce table cover to set up the C4 by the chairman for win. Ava announced that there would be a fatal 4-way match at Heatwave for the NXT championship.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, but who would have thought Spears would be the first man to pin Trick in nearly a year? We would never have called that after he'd
Hell
beaten
no.
Mello. You know?
Hell no, man. And think about it, man. The funniest part about it for me, from a perspective, is that like me and you, and this is what I love about booking, or just like when things make sense. I don't like Jensen getting involved, but at the same time, if we think about it and just make it all make sense, the way this was booked made it not such a horrible situation, in my opinion. And like that's the thing. It's kind of like if you told me before last update Sean Spears is going to beat Trick Williams, no other explanation, me and you both would probably be like, nah, man, you're losing it or whatever. But if you watched it and it all makes sense, and then everything that's been going on, because again they've been booking everything like chaos, and Jensen has just been in everybody's business. So yeah, man, this was cool. This is cool. But again, it's one of those things that makes wrestling very, very interesting, man, to me, because on paper or just in your mind, you don't think that Sean Spears beating the NXT champion or the biggest star in NXT could be a good thing, and they actually made it believable.
Yeah, without that. And Brooks Jensen, I mean, I'll probably save it until the next update, but I might actually have something not horrible to say about him.
Wow.
I know. Get ready, everybody. But we'll see what happens. July 2nd, we start with a street fight. Chin, of course it was, versus Jada Parker. The OTM enforcer picked up the victory with a hypnotic through the stage outside for another inside the ring to win. Chin might not win, but like we said, has shown out the past couple of weeks. And Jada Parker, again, not there, but has that kind of look and the connection with the crowd already. So I think she'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so far, and I understand. I know what the memes are saying. I get it. Like Shawn Michaels so far with his recruiting of the women, he definitely get lookers. Like he knows what to get when it comes to how they look, when it comes to physically attractive and all that type of stuff. And I think that's the thing. You kind of have to look. I like the fact that me and you can go week to week to watch these ladies actually improve in the ring, actually improve on the microphone, because I think that's more so what it is. If you're just going off reactions in NXT, you know what I mean? You can get a mixed bag. I feel like sometimes, like I remember Nikita. We think about the name Nikita Lyons, and when she comes back, she might be one of the top. But who knows? If she, at this point, injury bugs, crazy thing. But like if you're going off her reaction, you probably thought, and during her time period, during the era where she was on top, that she was next up. She would be where Roxanne is, or next to Roxanne, and a lot of that has to do with the look. And I think sometimes the NXT crowd gets enamored with that, and that's why I love to watch. Like I said, Jada is not just a looker, man. Like you said, the talk, like she that character is her. If you ask me, because I love the way she speaks. She seems to believe everything she's saying. And like I said, to go off somebody who's experienced, this is why I think people like Michin are necessary in NXT or for moments like this, is because for her to put up with some of the stuff that she put up with in this particular street fight, I came away with a little bit like, okay, Jada, they may have something going forward, which is kind of crazy because you look at OTM, it's funny to me how those two big old guys, so far I haven't seen anything to say that they're going to be special, but I feel like Jada, with the promo and the attitude that she have and the work improvement that she's going to pick up the more she does it, she has the potential to be really, really good in the future.
Well, first off, I will say this to OTM. Who growls as good as OTM? Eh? Show your teeth. There's no better.
If you're
team.
ever accused of reaching to compliment someone, this might be the time.
And as you talk about with Shawn Michaels, I mean, Mandy Rose, like we said, when wrestling fans are going, she's not shit, compared to
Right.
like where the level is. So again,
It's a good point.
Jada Parker, she's not shit. We'll see what happens. New Catch Republic beat Hank and Tank. The team shook hands, a sign of respect afterwards. Well, I put this at this point. I put Dunneal's a heel turn, as he's as good as here, and Gunther, right? Weirdly enough, I didn't know Tyler Bate would go and get injured.
How convenient.
Yeah, I know. And Triple H has gone, fuck that. We'll just turn you into the Pete Dunne. Yeah, we'll just... Again, the Bruiserweight are now on Raw, because we don't really talk about Raw, obviously, on NXT, but, Sheamus and all this kind of stuff going on. And it is true, though. In my mind, it's not just talk. Pete Dunne is as good as Ilya or Gunther or, put anybody else if used as a Bruiserweight in a proper storyline. And hopefully that is what we're going to see now, because Triple H is a fan. He wouldn't be around if he wasn't.
I agree. And if it's anybody who knows, too, that's another thing so far. If it's anybody who knows, like, the proper way, in my opinion, to kind of approach using someone like him, it is Triple H from that point of view, because we all know in the past when he was used properly, it was through that heelish, that booking that he was specialized in. And just again, we all know that Pete is Triple H is a big fan of what Pete Dunne brings to the table. So I think that's another thing, another part of it. But again, it's kind of interesting how these things turn out. It's very unfortunate for Bate because I didn't like it, but I honestly think his injury might have saved him from a heel turn because if you were thinking it and then if Triple H went with it so fast out of the gate, you know what I mean? It's kind of, probably was coming that way because I think if they were going to turn, that was how it was going to happen. I think we all know that. So, but no, cool. I'm happy for Pete. I want him to get less NXT time. They've done everything they can do.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, again, we'll get onto that in the next update. Let's not mention Tank's entrance attire. Kalani Jordan went over history in gymnastics and the way athletic background has guided her to greater heights. Nice. Izzy Dane beat Brindley Reese. Reese questioned Idris Nofi, Malik Blade if they really want to keep working with her. Gallows and Anderson grabbed the camera to challenge OTM. Ridge Holland explained why Chase U means so much to him to the point of cheating on their behalf. Andre Chase told Holland to stay away from Heatwave. Yeah, NXT's not always great. Roxanne Perez arrived with security. Lola Vice explained what drives her to succeed while the prodigy kept her confident. Proclamation that she would never lose the NXT Women's Championship. Vice knocked out one of the security guards with a spinning back fist. And she cried in this as well. And again, with Lola Vice, I know she's trying to show emotion, but sometimes it might feel a bit, what's the right word? Forced?
Forced. 100%. 100%. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how much, I don't know if they asked her to do that or if that's truly like just some natural emotion there. But like, I agree with you. It's, she's already still trying to become a more natural on the mic speaker. And a lot of times we talk about that when it comes to a lot of the MMA talents that come over. Most of the time they don't come over, being great at emoting or talking on the microphone. So I do understand that that's something that she's going to have to build on and something that she's going to have to work on. But I'm with you. I think that was kind of like whenever you do something like that, whenever you give an impassioned promo and the reception you receive online is a lot of, I don't like to see her crying or wooty boo. I don't really necessarily believe it. You know what I mean? That's not what you want, and I think they're valid criticisms, but that's obviously not what you want going into the go home show for the biggest match of your career. But I also don't mind them trying to surge a little passion because she also probably gets accused of not caring. So, it's kind of like one of those double-edged.
You're damned if you do, yeah.
Sword.
Exactly,
yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
No, she's just, she doesn't care about this sport. And then it's like, oh, look at her, we're overacting. Anyway, another gimmick change that's going to work is DJ Eddie Thorpe. Come on. Who doesn't like someone with their sick records? I mean,
I'm so sick of this. Like, you understand? Like, I brought up, by the way, another katana chance. Another katana chance. Oh, my
Just be
God.
dancing there whilst he's doing his sick
Because he's
tunes,
obviously the DJ at their little raves, right? Yeah, I think that's the only connection I have. Hold up. Now that I think about it, Oro even dropped this gimmick. You got to give it this up, man.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
This gimmick does not work.
But
and he
Lexus
goes
King
from very
him.
proud about his heritage, by the way, to just, I'm time to party.
What we didn't know is the Native Americans were DJs. Like, again, we didn't realise, like, the first...
Dijak beat the pride out of him.
He's just, he's gone. And he thought, like, let me move on. Lexus King got involved. Let's see where that feud goes. And the best Heatwave hype package of the night, Wesley cut a fiery promo about what the NXT Championship means to him. But what was even fucking better...
got me, bro.
Yeah, the shadow of Obafemi just like...
Just right there.
slowly engulfing him made me fear for Lee's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I love the most about it. What Wesley was saying got me because I believed in him for a second. But then when I realized what everybody else was talking about, because I actually had to go back. Because at first I wasn't even really paying attention. I was just listening to Wesley. And I rewinded back and I seen it and I was like, holy shit. Like holy shit. It's like, what the hell? What are we? Oh my goodness. So yeah.
I want to see
weird.
The outtakes, man, of Oba like going, sorry. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, Oba, shut up.
I do think it was genius though. Like that's the little, man. It's the little stuff that happens on not just NXT. Like WWE does it a lot of the time in these packages, man. It's like,
but it's
beautiful,
the thing that draws you in. It reminds me of like as a kid seeing like I think it was the Rumble '97 video case, or even like a Brett versus Diesel, like Survivor Series '95, with the height differences of just facing off. And again, it's just such a cool concept and visual that it just draws you in. And like I said, it's really clever that and Oba could do that with anybody, like because he's such, like I said, that he is that shadow of the division, the commanding presence that will engulf you. You know, if you're not careful to get into it. Anyway. Axiom tried to get Nathan Fraser to focus on Chase U at Heatwave, but like you said, Fraser was still thinking about the speed match with Xavier Woods. We've all had friends like that as well. Tell you not to worry about it. Don't you fucking... Anyway, Oromensa beat Miles Bourne. So Miles Bourne, you know, good move with North Court Catch Crew. After his victory, the main man told All Ego from Page that he would get him again and again, and to get him after Heatwave as well. Like we said, Aura getting himself over. The romance storylines between Mr. Stone and Stevie Turner told Mensa that they were not allowed to travel for Heatwave due to his actions towards Ethan Page. And then they shared a look. Brilliant. Wendy Chu smashed Carly Bright. Gallus brawled with DuPont and Igwe backstage. The match had to be called off because no one wanted to see it. In the locker room, Nix and Jane made fun of Petrovich and Grace until Petrovich challenged her to a match. And again, we mentioned what happened to Gigi Dolan. Was the storyline with Grace so bad that it would be just like, let's move on, you know? And again, Petrovich for Natalia. I thought that was going somewhere. They had matching outfits.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Natalia one makes sense because we know the contract, even though, as far as I know, seemingly according to rumors, she's fine. She's back or supposed to be signed. So I'm assuming they're just waiting to figure out what type of, are they going to do something? By the way, Natty's never been in a faction. That's like the one thing I think she's probably never done, right? I mean, I guess the Hart Foundation at the very beginning, like throw her in there with somebody. Why not? You know, at this point, why not? But you're 100% right. I think the funny thing about it, I always thought that little storyline with Gigi was going to lead to her being this helper. Now, I'm not saying they had to remake her and make her into like a clone of Ariana. That wouldn't make much sense. But I did think that's what they were trying to go. But I don't know what, like you mentioned, you're 100% right. If you was to see Gigi, you found out that this is over or something. Maybe she got injured. You never know.
Maybe she got,
exactly. Let's be
hoping someone got injured.
Let's be optimistic. Like, maybe she just hurt.
Please, let's make sure you hurt yourself. Not career ending, You know, just an elbow or something like that.
Look, yeah.
But again, to not get to a point where, like, they came to the ring and Gigi was dressed as Grace and ripping off the attire.
Right.
And
That's what I
beating
thought
like,
we were leading to.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
we get Petrovic versus Jasmine Nix instead, with Nix getting a win, Fallon Henley watching backstage. After
Nice
Petrovic,
kick.
Yeah, nice. Petrovic went to Ava looking for a match. I have no idea who these women are, Monty. Come on, let's just joke. They are names to me.
I said that because that's what I know about her. Like, oh, she do the kick.
One of them's got a sword. And I know that much. All right. And Grace revealed she and Petrovic would team up on Heatwave. And again, I'm joking with Grace. You know she's my favourite. And again, you know, who doesn't love a kooky mixed tag match? Shawn Michaels addressed the actions of Brooks Jensen, asked him to sit down with the general manager next week to steer him in the right direction. Yes, the exit. NXT showed great video packages for each competitor in the NXT Championship during the night. And then the contract signing, Sean Spears and All Ego, Ethan Page tried to roll Trick and Javon Evans up. Turned out poorly for the veterans as Trick and the Young OG sent the heels through the table in the ring for arguing with one another to end the night. I mean, this was fine. You know, we saw a bit of everything here. Page putting Trick over as the hottest thing in WWE. Talk about the odds. Spears mocking Evans for lack of experience. Young OG saying, "You've won fuck all, mate." And again, it's true.
It's very true. Like, dude, who are you? You old. You old and you have not won at all. Why are you here?
Yeah, don't come at me. All right?
Like, yeah, man, it's the youth. Like, that's the thing. I'm in the age range now, apparently, which is funny. Like, it's I remember getting shit on because I'm a millennial, so I remember everybody hating me, and now us millennials and people older than me hate the Javon Evanses of the world. But the way he said that just reminds me of my little cousin. Like, he sounded just like him because that's exactly what the type of energy that they have. And I love it. That's the one thing I really like about him. He really does remind me of a young, I wouldn't say arrogant, but he definitely, he's sure of himself. And, but yeah, no, this was cool. Like you said, it wasn't perfect. I think the thing is sometimes with certain segments like this, how many of these segments, just as a WWE fan, you've seen for a title match on like the go home show at this point? Like, that's the thing. So it's like, what are you gonna do to make this one different? And that's the thing. Like, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do to make this one more intense than the many that we've already seen?
Yeah, without a doubt. If you don't get a table break, people are usually disappointed. But hopefully won't be disappointed by Heatwave. July 6th, we start with a kickoff. It's an hour, but we did have a match, so I'll let them off. Megan Morant, Sam Roberts in studio. We get Lola Vice interviewed. Nathan Fraser hadn't shown up yet. And again, it's still the story that they're telling about Fraser not being that bothered. Jordan and Soul were too friendly training together. And Monty, I had to go back and watch this 3 or 4 times. Just to make sure everything was in place here. But again, I just thought it was just too friendly. But, I mean, should this stuff be allowed? If I was a young lad, with this at my disposal, I don't think I'd watch anything else.
When I was in college, I'm just gonna keep it simple at this. When I was in college, the most sought after girls were the gymnasts. And this segment right here puts it all in perspective. And that's all I'm going to say right there. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say about it.
This has gone just behind Rock Austin My Way promo from WrestleMania.
Yeah, screw that. Screw that, man. Just do this again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need intensity. I don't need hard rock music. Just slow this down a little bit. Put a little bit of slow motion every now and then. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, we're done. All I'm going to say, if they need better grip, do you know what I mean? They might need to. I don't know. Again, anyway, Ethan Page is all in denim. Look at the size of his cock. There we go. We're back level now between the
There
two.
we go.
There
Here
we go. Ridge called Chase U. Luckily, he's not there. But Ridge again, keeping his kids up past midnight. What a cunt. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Ridge. Think of the children.
I think I asked you, like again, what does Ridge do besides fuck up? And I think that's it. That's who Ridge Holland is now.
Wakes his children up past midnight. Fucks up. Rings his kids at midnight. That's the two things. Oh, I fucked up again. Vicious circle. Ava was interviewed. I was surprised she didn't have Stevie Turner or Robert Stone do it. You know, because again, that's what they're there for. Like, why bother speaking? Countdown. JC Jane and Jasmine Nix versus Carmen Petrovic and Ariana Grace. JC Jane and Jasmine had trouble figuring the odd pairing of the two. Grace got a massive pop for a hot tag, rolling over both competitors with power. With some unorthodox offense, Petrovic picked up the win after Grace helped to reverse the leverage on the roll-up. But, Monty, I mean, what do you think of this? And again, I'm just going to sit back, because I mentioned Ariana Grace, I don't know, feels like years ago now. You know, and for me, the sky is the limit. What were your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I remember, like, I think she was announced for like a breakout tournament or something, and I just remember her making me laugh at the time. So to kind of see that, that personality, and then now her to put it together within the ring and all of that, you know, it's been kind of cool to watch. I must admit that my expectations for this match wasn't really that high. But I also think they did a good job. They did a great job ingratiating the crowd. I didn't really even, again, to point out back that we're not joking when we say at this point some of these girls are just names. Did you know that Petrovic was Canadian? I had no fucking clue.
I'm sure they mentioned it when she was teaming with Natalia.
I'm sure they did, right? Maybe.
Canadian. One or the other.
But see, that's my point. It's just like
I didn't work out Grace was, even though
exactly. Think about this.
I was like, he's Italian.
So yeah, So when you think about my predictions, then you'll see how I was like, oh well, damn. As soon as I heard them mention the pop and all of that, I'm just like, oh, god damn it. Because again, here I am thinking that, you know, because as much as I love Ariana Grace, I don't necessarily think I didn't think her and Petrovic would be able to work together, because I know how Grace is. And then, as a matter of fact, right after this, they proved me freaking right. They just decided to work together well this night. But anyway, that's fine. That's enough. The match itself was fine. It did a good job. The crowd was hot for it. Again, do you remember what those takeovers were like when we were just kind of relegated to just Florida? You know what I mean? It's really cool to see the different parts of the world appreciate NXT also. So I'm still getting a kick out of that, even though I know we've been back traveling for a while now. But yeah, man, this is cool. This is really good. Good character work for Ariana Grace and the crew. But my focus now is on Jane, and it's just like, if they're not going to start winning now, again, when are they ever gonna see anything, Jason Jane, or she's just gonna be like, you know what I mean? She's just gonna be like, I don't even know what to tell you, because, you know, I think we can see that they're doing something with Nix eventually or whatever, but I don't know.
The thing is, JC, the character she's got now, she obviously likes, you know, but
right.
Kind of proven that she is a tag wrestler. So again, it's, you know, if it was me and Gigi's still there, you'd go back and bring that team back, you know, and do that. But
and make Nix the singles focus maybe when she gets ready for it or whatever.
Yeah. Like I said, you can love stables at the moment, so you know what I mean. We'll see what happens when it comes to this. And again, they weren't having Canadians lose. And what is hilarious is, I always say, one of my rules, Monty, is you always vote baby faces on the kickoff, right? And again, I'm not saying that because of what happened here, but the last AEW show, I went against that, and I don't know why. I didn't follow my only rule. I'm going, and I lost because of it. Like, so again, I might completely ignore that come SummerSlam.
But I must say,
usually.
it's weird with AEW because he doesn't really depict anybody
Yeah,
stereotypically.
I didn't know L.I.
You
James
know what
was
I
going to be
mean?
fucking heels. But
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly.
Again, out of 5 for this matchup to start us off.
3 3/4. I thought it was better than average. So yeah, 3 3/4.
Right down for a match that was just kind of thrown together. These girls did deliver, and again, it was thanks to the crowd. And like I said, the setting, and again, not bashing AEW, but WWE have that ability to make an arena look, full up, even if you know it isn't,
Right.
And even with the sound and anything like this. But predictions, the WNR Prediction League 2024. This is after Money in the Bank, before Heatwave. Bonus League, or the Monty League, as we should call it. That motherfucker's on 21. Gina's on 14. I'm on 13. Jaxie on 8. WWE, Monty and I are on 4 each, which again, I don't know how that's possible. Gina on 2, Jaxie on 1. And AEW, me and Jaxie on 2, Gina and Monty on 1. With this one, they all went JC. Apart from me, I'm Team Grace, so I'll get the point. So James on 1, rest on 0. Later on, we saw Grace took all the credit for the win after the result. Ava congratulated the team backstage, but Grace said she wanted to run solo, and Ava made a match between Grace and Petrovich for Tuesday. So is that the shortest tag team that we have seen on NXT?
Like, do you not understand how aggravating? Do you not aggravating it is when you pick against a team because you're like, well, Ariana has an ego and Petrovic is like super babyface, so they're gonna butt heads, and then literally they don't butt heads in the match, but you can go right backstage and butt heads.
That's crazy.
God damn it.
Oh, God, that is crazy. But I don't know what's more crazy, that or a man thinking they could beat Obafemi. And that was a challenge up next for Wesley as he went to win the North American Championship. Lee was rolling for a moment until Femi chopped him hard into the apron. Femi caught Lee diving off the top rope, but the former champion reversed into a head scissors takedown for a stack-up pin for nearly 3. Obafemi targeted the bad back of Wesley, enjoying battering him with a ring and his pure strength. That damage paid off as Lee slowed down just enough for Femi to hit the pop-up powerbomb for the victory. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Monty? We've got the ultimate monster versus the ultimate babyface.
Yeah, man, and I gotta say, man, first of all, my first takeaway is I know we don't really care what other people rate things, especially when I know that they not putting in the time that me and you put in watching week to week or whatever. But I could not believe that I think the lowest rating of the night for this show was this match from Meltzer, and I'm just like, what the hell were you watching? Because this was just a really good battle. Like, I'm not trying to say it was like Matt classic type of wrestling, but when I think about, like you mentioned, the story of just an unrelenting, huge force threat that Obafemi is against a guy who's fighting on basically just nothing but heart, pretty much. Just you putting heart and soul into everything, doing everything he can, but not only is size not in his favor, but just nothing really. It's because it's not really. I don't think you look at this match and be like, Wesley, you're just not good enough. Like, no, we don't know if anybody can do anything to this man at this point. That's just how well he's been protected, and that's how well he's going to be. And I've convinced myself, because this is my thought process. When I picked against him, which is amazing to think about in itself, that I pick against over. But my logic was that because of, I figured, which we'll talk about later, I figured Trick would need a next challenge, and I was jumping the gun saying that Oba he could lose his belt, and maybe in a few months he could be the guy that's fighting Trick. But what I didn't think about was that, honestly, why does he have to lose the North American Championship to just take over NXT? Like, he honestly could just beat everybody all the way to beating Trick at some point, or becoming champ at some point. So, yeah, man, like, that's just how dominant. It really didn't take long. Like, this is when you know how we go. I think you were just like me. You pick somebody, you root for the guy you're picking for, and that's just how it goes. It didn't take too, like, I think you said, like, I think when he ran into that chop or just a couple, Like, I mean, of course, the L5 spot, but like, there's a couple spots in there where I'm just like, yeah, man, I can't pick. Ain't no way he loses. There's no way. There's no way this dude loses. I can't even fathom him losing. So, yeah, man, he's just so dominant. I love the presentation. I love everything about him as a character, the promos, the energy that he brings. And I think this was just a really good showcase for Obafemi, man. It was a good match. I think Wesley did pretty much everything that was in his power. But also, I think you talked about it. It's Heritage Cup or it's just next challenge time for Wesley because you've been there and done that. And I think as long as that man has that belt, you don't want to be challenging for it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you made a lot of great points there. And I'm going to agree with you. I fucking love this matchup, right? And again, the only issue, if you look into it, Wesley's landing on one thing and there was a couple of kicks. But when you consider one of these guys has only wrestled for, what, a year? If that.
Exactly.
Right? And you compare that to where Goldberg or any other development wrestler in the history of wrestling, and you're moaning about a guy on a takeover with Wesley, a guy smaller, still putting on a hell of a show. Like you said, big meaty men fighting meat, but this was another story told with this. And the way the match was going did worry me prediction-wise, because I hate it when, like, you know, I was so on top, and I'm thinking, but Lee's going to pull it out in a minute. It's like the opposite of what you're thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But again, our life now is Oba as our champion. Like, people will ask him how long have he held the title, and he'll say 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be champion. He'll go to the main roster and still hold the North American title.
Bro, like, I promise you, that's the way I see it now. Like, I'm convinced that Stand and Deliver, the last image would be him holding both belts. And like you said, he might even get drafted. And his graphic, when they draft him, he'll still have both championships.
He's going to have like 4, 5, 6 championships on him.
He'll be a tag
keeps
champion.
Picking them up. Yeah, just to keep bringing them to the ring. I completely agree with Booker about Oba being a pure star, but like you said with Wesley as well, if he is not winning the North American title, then, you know, you either go for the big one, which I don't think there's a story there yet, but again, as I put, hashtag we want rascals. And again, it's weird because we're going to obviously talk about this more on probably the next update, but NXT and TNA together are actually given what a lot of people want. You know, and I think seeing Wesley with the Rascals is definitely going to be one of those things. Like I said, I fucking love this. I love this matchup. It's the two styles. Yeah, and like you said, Monty, as well, Wesley trying everything, man. You know, some guys might lose, but you knew in this matchup he was just trying to give over everything that he had. And that's why I love Wesley probably as much as, like... Because, again, when we talk about, like, best wrestlers in the world... It's only until you watch NXT that you appreciate Wesley for who he truly is, especially with someone that size.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I think, like, sometimes, and I'm not even going to pinpoint Meltzer, but it's just anybody. If you don't watch week to week or if you don't have experience, like you said, seeing what Wesley has been through and what he's capable of, and then, like, thinking about that, because, like, that's part of the story, too. Like, Wesley isn't just some little guy trying to fight a big guy. He is, like I said, probably before Oba touched that belt, was the greatest North American champion, or at least had one of the greatest runs with that belt ever. And he, who overcame so much when he was champion, just don't have any answers for him. And that's part of the story that they wrestled and showcased. And I just think when you just throwing a rating because you're looking at and you saw, oh, okay, this spot didn't go as planned, or you just looking at that, or just because it's not 30 minutes of two guys going out there and killing each other. Like, no, like, you can tell different stories in pro wrestling, and I 100% agree. I think this is what makes Wesley who he is, because he's able to tell that story, and the fact that he can make us believe. That's one of the greatest things that Rey Mysterio, in my opinion, had going for him. He can make you believe that at any given notice, no matter the size difference, no matter if it was Batista or whoever it was, Undertaker, no matter who he was fighting, Khalid back in the day, he made you believe that he had a shot, which is insane to say when you think about how dominant and how big Obafemi is.
And that's the crazy thing. You know, both of us did predictions, and I was worried about it. So again, it shows you how good that story was when you're actually watching the match and you're worried about it. Out of 5, Low, what were you going to score it?
I give it 4. I think it was a really good match. I thought both guys did well, and I think the beauty of it is that we all can see I can see the improvement from over match to match, and like you mentioned, because of the injury and the things that he's had, he may have been signed a certain amount of time, but he hasn't had many matches. So for him to be the timing to still be that good, and now the competition is only getting better, and for him to still be having these compelling matches, I think it speaks volumes to his improvement.
Yeah, I mean, and anybody that kind of even in development that signed him, or you know, even like I said with the NIL stuff as well, is like no one thought he'd be where he is right now. Like that is a shock to kind of me to everybody. Like it is great to see as well, and that's what developmental is. And again, like we talked about, that's what NXT is. But I'm going to give it 4.5 because I really, really did enjoy it. Predictions: Jackson and I went over. Gina and Monty went Lee. So I'm on 2. Jackson's on 1. Gina and Monty on 0. As we've got the Women's North American Championship match: Kalani Jordan versus Sarah Ruka. And Ruka looked like the faster woman early in this battle, but Kalani Jordan had the better stamina. She planted the challenger with a poison runner off the second rope, then a split-legged moonsault to retain. The reason why I've gone through the match quickly is because, again, a lot of people are kind of been against this. But I really enjoyed this. And Monty, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I think because I saw people blowing up online about a few spots that may have looked like some, I don't know, some spots that they I think Osprey and Ricochet is what they were trying to talk about. So, you know, again, trying to say that gymnastics, which is very funny because, again, if you don't watch NXT, maybe you don't realize that these two girls are gymnasts. So it's gonna be a little
video.
bit. Yeah, obviously you didn't see the video package, so you don't realize that that's what they kind of have in common. They're athletic, they do things like that, but it was more than that. It wasn't just a flippy, and I think sometimes you got to be careful because I think some people go around rating or talking about matches just off clips they've seen instead of watching and paying attention to what happened. And then again, me and you also have the perspective of watching where these girls have come from. We've seen Kalani pretty much, build to where she's at now to be championship worthy and to go out there and have this match. And we know what's the fact that Sol Ruka missed so much time from the ring, but somehow has come back better than ever. I honestly feel like some of the things she's been doing since returning is like better than anything she was doing in her original run, which is insane to say when you had such a serious injury. So, I thought they showcased their talent. I mean, I've never seen a 450 like clothesline springboard type of thing. Like it was just all types of stuff that Sol Ruka was able to do, and I think they showed off their athleticism. And I think, again, the fact that people are saying it felt collaborative and all that, like let's be for real. Like we know that, but when certain situations, when certain wrestlers have those same type of matches, you hear not a peep. You know what I mean? You hear nothing about collaborative or whatever. And if you was like, what about the people? Were the people on their feet? Because again, at the end of the day, as much as the TV audience, as much as the people online matter, it is people in that arena. And from what I recall, the people in that arena were on to everything that those girls were doing. And I think for them to be so young, the sky's the limit for what they can do. Can they add more psychological spots, more, whatever you want to say, start working on a leg or, do certain holds eventually? Sure. But at the same time, to sit around and act like what we just saw them do athletically isn't a version of pro wrestling in itself. That's the beauty of pro wrestling, in my opinion. You can go to Japan and watch somebody like watch Gabe Kidd and Shingo kill each other just standing in the middle, throwing strikes. You can watch two athletes do what Ricochet and Osprey did in the past, mixing strong style with athleticism and gymnastics. Or you can watch something like this, or you can watch the stuff we grew up on with the great storylines and brawling that Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock would have. Like, we have so many different styles of wrestling that can determine and make a great match. So I kind of get aggravated when everybody turns into super critic about what's a great match when you really could have just sat there and just watched. And I guarantee you, like I've had people literally say they enjoyed it, but this was no way this was a good match. It felt rehearsed. Like, how much sense did that make?
No, it just if you want that, you can watch Rampage or Collision, or and like I said, you've got these kind of matches where it's just them going through the moves, getting this, no selling. And I didn't find this match was that, And again, I don't want to blame Strong Style for kind of people's view on what a great wrestling match is, or to label something hardcore. But it feels like that Lucha Libre style. I mean, again, people who watch must hate Lucha Libre. We're calling this
hate Triple A,
gymnastics
I guess.
with the setups and the stuff like that with moves. I mean, my God. I mean, there's no doubt both had tunnel vision, but Soul, I think, needs to maybe feel the crowd down the line and kind of use that a little bit with just kind of little moves and stuff like this. But apart from that, like you said, Soul's 450 clothesline was nuts. The surfboard as well was a perfect move for Soul. Both were great. Jordan looked like the best she has as well, which again is great for a champion in a championship match. But I will say, and I don't want to be weird again, but the video packages were great, and Soul took me back to Divas in the Caribbean. And I don't know what it is about Soul Ruka, but she takes me to a place where I've not been to since I was 13. But again, it was a great match. Back to the match.
No, 100%, man. And again, I love it. That's a part of professional wrestling. Again, whether people want to be proud of it or not. And I understand what you're saying about Strong Style. But the thing is, Strong Style gets criticized because, they have moments in the matches where they decide to show fighting spirit and they won't sell a back suplex or a poison runner. And people hate that. So, again, at the end of the day, some guys or some people are going to always have something to say in regards to what you should appreciate and what's a good match. But again, I want to caution everybody, in my opinion, when you're watching a lot of these matches, or especially in this particular situation, be honest with yourself and think about it. These people, they're not the finished product. Like you said, Soul is eventually going to add some in-between moves, in between all the stuff she had going on and she was doing. In my opinion, I think she's going to have to. She's going to be able to develop that. She's going to have the time. Same thing with Kalani. These girls are both very young in their career, and they have a lot of potential to grow. But to sit around and act like you mentioned, like I've seen stuff like, all right, like I don't want to use Commander as an example because I think Commander is great. But the tiptoe spot and all that stuff he do, there's been plenty of time where you literally watched him receive help to get that spot off. But when it's him, it's just an impressive spot. But when it's these two girls who still learning, it's a problem.
It's even like, I've seen it before, with the guys going up for like the moonsault and his opponent just standing there, just waiting. And no one ever questions that. The guy's just waiting for the move. It's like, we'll move out of the way, do a Joe. But, anyway, the score for this, what are you going to rate out of 5?
I give it 4.5, man. Again, this is a really good time. And to watch them just do what they was doing, whether you thought it was a spot fest or not, I just thought that the crowd had a good time. I thought both girls showed major improvement. And I just thought it was a really good title match. And they can go from here. I think, honestly, whether they come back and do it again or whether we have – I think another thing, too, I think the fact that both people in this match didn't necessarily have a heel face dynamic to play off of is another element too that can only make this match even better in the future when you add some heat to one or two of the girls. So again, I came away from this optimistic 4.5. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 4 3/4 because again, I was not expecting this from both women. Like I was expecting like a kind of good match, but what they did was really, really impressive. And like I said, the crowd ate it up as well. Predictions, we all went Kalani. So I'm on 3, Jackson on 2, Gina Monty on 1. Little Joe Coffey wasn't happy, but fuck him. NXT Tag Team Championship, Nathan Fraser and Axiom versus Chase U. And Fraser and Axiom were not on their A game. The MVP nearly took the win with a Trish Stratus-inspired Super Frankenstein in a spin-out Uranagi. Chase broke up the pin after a Phoenix Splash on Hudson, then jumped off Fraser's back to plant Axiom with Canadian Destroyer. Didn't know he had it in him. Fraser accidentally blasted Axiom with a back elbow and a super kick, but Axiom managed to barely kick out with a follow-up pin. Loved that spot. And then Fraser hit a suplex into a Falcon Arrow, super kick combination with Axiom, followed by Axiom hitting the golden ratio on Andre Chase to win. What's crazy, Monty, is that it feels, Chase, you've been doing this for the past 5 years or so. But every time they do it, it's really entertaining. And this match, again, exceeded all expectations.
Yeah, man. Again, I kind of knew, just like you said, just because of what we've been spoiled with so far over time from them, that this would be one of those matches. You know what I mean? And it's just I love tag team wrestling, and I think this match right here is just really, really good stuff. I want to say a pleasant surprise, but at the same time, like again, I kind of knew what Axiom and Frazier were possible, or capable of, and then like you mentioned, Chase, you have always kind of been good for a really good match. Especially in the tag team sense of the word, Duke is very sneaky good. If you because again, I think people may not pay as close attention to Duke because of the gimmick and because what they've done and what they try to do with Chase U. But I think him and Andre Chase are very, very good, and I think this match was a great showcase of that. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite tag matches of the year, man. Just again, the gimmick of that Chase U has can definitely make you not take them seriously, but you're 100%. I think this match is a perfect example. I think you put this match on if you want to point out just how talented those guys really are, in my opinion. And again, I love Fraxium. We all can see that they may not be a long-term tag team, but honestly, I said the same thing about Andre Chase and Duke.
Yeah.
And they've been stuck together forever. So
all they need is an
we'll see.
annoying woman to bring them together, and it'll work.
Right,
but,
right.
Again, I don't want to sound crazy here, but with experience that we've got, and again, I was lucky enough to kind of watch DIY in NXT, and Fraser and Axiom have this ability, much like that team, of no matter who they're in a ring against, just bringing out the very best. And again, however long it lasts, or whether it is, like Fraser and Axiom together, I'm sure that's something we're going to see down the road after the inevitable kind of heel turn. There's no doubt Axiom should just wipe out Nathan. You know what I mean? Just like, cut your shit. I've had enough. Just fucking... I've even had a better idea. Just have a mask versus hair match. There you go. That's how you sort the feud out. That's brilliant. And bring back A-Kid, and no one knows. He can attack Fraser and continue the feud. Well, there you go. Book that. That's just the top of my head. But who would have thought Axiom and Fraser are better off than Bait and Dunn at this moment in time? Hopefully that does change. But and again, you forget how good Chase is. I suppose that's because he's wearing a jumper. Yeah,
it's the gear, man. It's the vignette. It's the gear. That's what it is.
But this was another excellent match. Like I said, the mishaps of Fraser was brilliant in the closing stretch, and it again added to this event because we have not spoken about it yet. But we already had like 3 matches, and into this one, it was just getting kind of better and better at this point.
Yeah, man, that's the thing. Like you said, after being so impressed with what the girls did, you came away from this one. Even if I already knew what A-Kid and Frazier are capable of, it was still one of those situations where you're like, well, goddamn, like this show is getting really good, And I think what I liked also is that after the show, everything was kind of getting its due. Sometimes you get main events, you get all of this, but like I kind of saw a wide, absorbent amount of everybody saying, no, Heatwave was really good. And I think this match was this is when I started to realize it, like, yeah, no, this show is getting solid because the worst thing is actually pretty good.
Well, and also going back and watching it on like the Monday, as I did, and it's cut down to like 2 hours and 7 minutes, I think, because they take the adverts out. And again, It's like, who doesn't like that? Anyway, scores out of 5 for this. What are you going to give it?
I give it 4 3/4. Like you mentioned, it was like it just seemed like we just kept getting better and better from here with this match, and it was just really good. Even when I just had no, in my opinion, I really never really entertained Chase U winning it, even though going into the production, going into predictions, I actually entertained it more at that time, in my opinion, because of just thinking about how, everything that they've been through. But I also thought about, what, I feel like Fraction deserves this spot. And I think this match was just a good showcase for both teams. And I think, honestly, this tag match was so good. And you mentioned that what they have, until we get a new team that we can believe is prominent enough to be put in this situation, Fraction probably should keep the belts. Because, that's just how good they are.
Who would have thought that like a year ago? You know what I mean? Or a year and a half ago. We know how good these two guys are. As we've mentioned it, we followed them from NXT UK, but now it's great that kind of everybody else is seeing how good they are as well.
Mm-hmm.
Predictions for all champions, apart from Jaxie. So I'm on 4, Jaxie, Gina, Monty on 2. Wesley was not in the mood for talking, and the Great American Bash is August 6th. Yeah, don't blame you. Up next, NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice. And Perez slapped Vice right after the bell, which only frustrated Vice, who ran over her with fast technical offense. Vice missed her first spinning back fist, hitting the LED post. She hit on her second attempt, but the prodigy escaped outside to recover. Perez managed to block the third attempt and hit Pop Rocks, only for a near fall. Out of frustration, she exposed the announce table for a second Pop Rocks, still only getting a near fall. 2.5 Pop Rocks later, because I'm not going to count one of them. She sealed the victory and nearly killed the finisher. But we had the big fight music, leading into this. But maybe the issue was because of how good the card was to this point. But again, I thought this was really good.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about it is some of the things I've seen about this match, or I felt like if you hated what the girls earlier did, I don't see how you didn't like this, because this is more of the story. This is more putting over, a babyface's toughness and trying to show that she is, just right there, just not good enough at the end of the day. And it showed a heel doing whatever they could to maintain their championship reign. And I kind of, I just like that side of Roxanne of just doing it. Now, I'm with you. I think almost after this match, I don't know if that's going to happen, but after this match, you might want to just stop doing the pop rock. You know what I mean? Like, it don't seem like it works that well for you anymore if it took that many different types of ways to do it. And it's honestly, to be real, it's more of a babyface type of finish anyway, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I understand it's something that we kind of associate with her at this point. So I'm not mad at it, but in my opinion, I think it might be time to, I like it better when she started doing that crossface and all of that. I don't think she has to finish everybody in that way, but especially I understand not finish the MMA person in that with that finish, so I kind of get it. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. I thought, honestly, this match was just as good as pretty much everything else that was leading up to it. Was it as good as the Lola Vice? I mean, no, I'm not Lola. Was it as good as the Soul Ruka match? Probably not. But at the same time, I thought for the stakes and just for the story, I thought the story there was actually one of the most compelling of the night, because it really did make Lola look like one tough SOB. Even whether you think she's ready or not, I think you definitely seen her look as tough as possible right there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think Lola not quite ready yet, but again, what I really enjoy about it was like the crowd was into it, and it's still a good matchup. And again, we know at this moment, Lola's got a lot of potential down the road. What I'm loving though is the fact is Roxanne Perez having the run we kind of knew she could, and we spoke about even with the kind of booking of Roxanne Perez of kind of even like what we're doing with her maybe a few updates ago, and now we're on this run now where we can look back and go, yeah, we kind of knew this is what she was capable of. Even with Jordan Grace, Lola Vice, and whatever's coming up, you kind of spoke about with champions with Axiom Fraser going kind of the only ones that aren't really that dominant, like Obafemi at the moment. Kalani Jordan just won it. Trick, obviously, and now with Roxanne Perez. But it's still great that we get to see it.
Yeah, and it's a new version of her too. It's completely different than the upstart babyface. Like I mentioned, she does a great job, in my opinion, of garnering sympathy with her size, her facial expressions, and all that when she's a babyface. But she's also, in my opinion, doing a good job of building up reps and building up believability as a heel. I think if there's anything that she would have to work on, in my opinion, it probably would be the fact that some people could accuse her of forcing the issue sometimes as a babyface. I mean, as a heel. But that's just because naturally she's probably just a really sweet person, and you got to kind of get used to playing this role. And I think with everything considered, she's doing a really good job from that perspective. So. Yeah, man, I thought it was, again, a really good match. I thought they did a good job. I think eventually, if we have to revisit this match down the line, maybe if we are, depending on who are the contenders going forward, if we are in Stand and Deliver season, where Lola probably could be by then, you can revisit a match like this and say, you got me in, but I'm never going to give up type of, build. And you can rebuild this and do this again down the line. And but, yeah. I think at the end of the day, they told a really good story, and I'm really excited so far, like you said, for what Roxanne has done, but also what she still has the potential to do, because, again, she's the prodigy. She's so young. Like, we could be looking at like, I don't think people realize that when they talk about, like, I see some people criticize Roxanne and say they don't understand the hype, but I think what you don't get is she's already so good at, like, 23. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like, she has so much more time to be just as good, and she's nowhere near some of her rivals' age, and that's my point. Like, that's how scary good Roxanne can be. Like, we were talking about her getting called up before this run, so like, she's good.
Yeah, she has been in a couple of Rumbles as well. So, like we said, we know
right
what the kind
they
of
think she's good.
Right. What are you going to score this?
I give it 4.25. I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions. We all went rocks. So I'm on 5. Monty, Gina, Jax on 3. In dueling videos, Lexis King disparaged Eddie Thorpe and called out Tony D. Then Adon agreed to put his Heritage Cup on the line on Tuesday because who doesn't beat Lexis King? But right now, I am ready for my perfect score. I'm going to catch up with Monty. NXT Championship, Trick Williams, our champion, versus Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and Javon Evans. And Trick's entrance in a big arena is always special. And I hope they kind of build him up so when he does make that move to Raw or SmackDown, Monty, that we have got that reaction, because Lyra's woos at the moment are kind of slowly dying off. But let's hope we can get that whoop that Trick chant kind of working well.
100%, man. It's perfect, like you mentioned. The music, the energy that he brings is perfect. And I think, honestly, I think he will be on. I think it'll be. I will be shocked if they don't just go ahead and hit, in my opinion, with him. In my opinion, because that's just how good I think Trick Williams really has the chance to be, and has already shown he can be. And I think that noise, I think that's something that, if it's one thing anybody know about Trick, I think that's another thing about him. It's such a catchy type of deal. If it's one thing people can expect to hear on the main roster, it's kind of like the barking for Braun. You know what I mean? Like, you see how fast the barking has gotten over for Braun Breaker? I think the same thing can happen for Trick Williams.
Yeah. And again, not so. I do want Braun to bark more, but maybe he's been told not to. Do you know what I mean? I just want him to give a little bit more. But anyway, Ethan Page came out in a Resident of the USA jacket, despite coming from Canada, to guarantee he was not a crowd favourite. We love it. Christian used to do it all the time. Great. The match itself, my word. Well, we see Evans clearing the top rope and sent Trick through the barricade with a somersault plancher. Spears hit a Super C4 on Evans, and Page tried to steal the pin. Young OG managed to kick out. Trick barely broke up the pin after a springboard cutter from Evans on Page. He did again after Young OG hit a springboard corkscrew sent on Spears. The NXT champion pushed the Young OG through the announce table. Trick looked visibly shaken by having to go that far, but again, Trick, look who you fucked up in the past. It's Javon Evans. You cared more for the ear. Come on, who's lying? But all ego, Ethan Page was in the right place, the wrong side, and in the same battle. Trick Williams blasted Javon Evans with a trick shot, but Sean Spears caught him while Uligo stole a pin to win. Yes, your new NXT champion, Uligo, Ethan Page. Monty, I'll get your thoughts on this, but Page wins after only 40 days in NXT. The record was Kevin Owens. Obviously, Eternal Sammy won the title at the next takeover, but I did not see this coming, and this is why I love NXT.
Yeah, I think I kind of, and I'm not trying to act like I know Shawn Michaels or anything, but I do believe that a lot of times because these cards are smaller, sometimes I fall into that trap with Triple H, and I think that's probably why Money in the Bank worked out well for me, because I told myself, you know what, sometimes it might not be a trick, like not really a trick, but you know what I mean, one of those finishes that you don't expect. Sometimes you might just do exactly what you think he should, or everybody thinks he will do. And I think Shawn Michaels, though, so far, in my opinion, is almost guaranteed for per takeover with these short cards to have one decision in there to where it's like, I did not see that coming, but damn, was it good. And I think that's why I kind of went with the Wes Lee situation, because I still didn't see Trick, even because, again, we know, like you mentioned with the baby faces in the takeover in the pre-show, what's the rule with these multi-man, especially 4-ways and all that? What's the rule pretty much when a champion is up, is putting that belt on the line in the situation? Usually the champion finds a way. And not to be fair, a lot of times that champion is heel. But in this situation, I still thought Trick Williams would be able to figure it out, because I thought Sean or, Javon would, kind of, take out each other and or something, or they would take, or just a way for Trick to hit his knee on someone, whether it was Javon or Sean, out of nowhere. I thought it was perfect. And guess what? The finish literally was that. But, you know what I mean? It was expertly done. Like, again, how can you complain when they do it so well? And even if you think Ethan Page is championship material, or you're not sure, or even if you're not, you don't know if he's ready, I honestly think, and I saw a lot of people, and you can tell people who don't watch NXT, who just know that he comes from AEW, so they looked at it like, oh, this is just one of those things to try to get Ethan Page over. And I'm just like, no, I really don't think that. I really think it's just an expertly done type of swerve type of deal. Now, where they going forward from here is going to be the true test of how believable and how far he actually goes as the NXT champion. Because you can make the case, like we mentioned, because we were just looking, who we talked about it so much so far during Trick run, who can Trick fight next, or what's going on. So maybe you come to the conclusion that maybe with the whoop that Trick chance, maybe it's better while he's on the chase. Some situations are like that. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. If you really look at The Rock's like 7 or 8 world titles, he never had it that long, because everybody as much as we love The Rock being on top as the guy, the pop when he won and when he was on the chase usually was some of the most incredible things. I always liking what Trick Williams has done to The Rock, someone who doesn't have 30-minute matches that you're gonna watch and see, oh my goodness, look at that suplex, look at this, look at that. But they have the crowd, and I think that's one thing that Trick Williams going forward. Even though he's not the champion right now, I don't think he's gonna lose anything, especially with the way he lost. You know what I'm saying? They protected him expertly. And then before we got there, the match itself was insane. Like, all 4 guys just killed it. Like Javon, oh my goodness, you got to tell me. Once I know I was right about Melo, I've been right about a lot of things, but come on, man. All I saw was that level up match from Javon and a couple of clips before WWE, and I was like, this kid is special. And just look at what he's done, and look at how he looked with these veterans, because a lot of these guys, other than Trick, really, everybody else has 10 plus years experience. So Javon fits like a glove and was shining. You know what I mean? This was just beautiful.
This is what made the match so good, was the fact of someone like Sean Spears, who was the kind of general in there. Page has got the experience, and then you give the shine spots to, like I said, Javon Evans and Trick, and then all of a sudden, like I said, it becomes what it does. Trick with a nod to Booker as well with his trunks. But again, this doesn't hurt Trick. Like you spoke about The Rock, you talk about Stone Cold, you talk about any kind of, barring like a Roman Reigns or someone like that. Most of the time the babyface is better in chase mode. And again, Ethan Page has really got. We are one step closer to Ora Mensah being NXT champion. Do you know what I mean? Because that feud is already there. And again, how Trick gets that title back is what we're going to be interested in. And if this is not an incentive, and this is what we spoke about, off the pod, if this is not an incentive for talent like Ricky Starks or Hook in AEW, who arguably bigger names than Ethan Page, then why not make that jump? Because if they're doing this with Page, again, what's stopping that? It's like credit for Page to even make that jump, because as soon as he loses, he's going to be worth more anyway.
100%. As soon as he loses, as soon as it goes down the way we inevitably know it potentially can, in regards to this run, it could definitely be over. But I think honestly, again, like you said, it's beautiful in that retrospect, because if you let's say you are thinking about the future when it comes to AEW, it's beautiful. It shows you that just because you worked at the other place, you're not necessarily going to be not taken seriously, or whatever it is. You're not necessarily just going to be put in a situation where we only use you to down the other guys. Like, no, we're going to try to look at your value, what you do well, and we're going to put you in situations to where you could possibly succeed here. And, I think, honestly, you have that element of it, and then you just have the fact that, in my opinion, that because Ethan Page is a good promo and because he's at a place like NXT, he has the chance, in my opinion, to kind of build it and make this what it could be for the future. I think when they signed like Alexis King, we already knew that he actually had to develop anyway. He had to build on something. Same thing with even Jade, to an extent. As much as I love Jade, and I think she's gonna be one of the biggest in the world, we knew that she had to learn the WWE style, learn to fight from underneath, learn to fight a completely different style than what she was probably used to. So again, I think, like you said, the incentive for future stars, but also just what it means, in my opinion, to just be sought after, but not being just a guy. And I think that is what this does. This automatically makes Ethan Page more than just a guy. And what he does with it going forward is how you can determine what he does from this moment. You know what I mean? Or how big, how far he can run with this. You know what I'm saying? So
because this is the thing. Everybody going, well, they're just doing this to drop title back to Trick. If he really, really impresses, who's to say he won't get another run? North American title, the kind of main roster as well. Like you said, this is what NXT been crying out for, kind of like heels. And there is nothing likable about Ethan Page. As a heel.
Right.
That's what...
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we need. Like, when you have a star like a Trick Williams, you need someone that's going to be... Because, honestly, Trick is so over at this point, I honestly don't know if they could even shift his character another way. He's going to have to he's going to have to scrap the music, and nobody wants that before he debuts on the main roster. So, honestly, to have him as a counterpart, because that's what we were looking for this entire run. Who was going to step up to be the next Ilya, the next Mello? Who's going to be that next measuring stick? And this is an opportunity for Ethan Page to be that, even if that means being a cowardly Miz-like heel or whatever it is. I feel like Ethan Page, this is his opportunity, and I think I really like it, because, like you mentioned, when you have a Hook, when you have a Ricky Starks, when you have some of these guys who can come in and instantly make an impact because they built a name outside of WWE already. This is it's great recruiting tactics, but it's also just, again, we now can pick you that you have a legitimate chance here.
Yeah.
You're not going to automatically get stomped out, or you don't have to use your connections to Cody to get anything, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Well, like a gimmick change, you know what I mean, with Lexis
King,
Ethan
completely
Page
different than what he was, right?
Ethan Page is exactly the same guy he was in AEW.
Right. Same name, same all ego,
Yeah.
exactly. Just different talent and different situations. So exactly. So I thought this was good, but like the match itself, I think honestly people were talking a little bit too much on the fact that this was the finish. The match itself should not be overlooked. It was incredible.
No. Well, especially when, like, you even forget there was 10 chants. Do you know what I mean? You're going, oh, yeah, that's funny. Like even the crowd was good. OG dive was awesome. The chair shot he caught. Rest in peace chants as well. So out of 5 for the main event, what would you score it?
This is a 5, man. This is the match that, I would say honestly, pretty much everything on the main card. Like, you can rewatch this entire show. This is a really good NXT show. This is a great just launching pad for whatever they want to do next. Like you said, going into the bash and just whatever we want to do next. I felt like the momentum was just really, really high from this one. But this is 5 stars, no doubt in my mind. Best match of the night to me. And I just think that, like you mentioned, cards rarely do this these days, but you love when a card builds. And this show just seemed like every match built off the last.
I think, again, this is what I was expecting from Battleground. So to get this now at Heatwave, I think if you'd have put Roxanne and Grace in this card, then this card would have been goated, And again, it still was one of the best NXT events that we've seen in, I think, so long as well. Because, like I said, the flow of it, and before we knew it, we had the shock, which kind of hooked us into the next episode of NXT as well. And I think everything just worked out, So I'm going to give this a 5 as well. Predictions. We all went Trick, and fuck my ass. I do not get a perfect score. I finished with 5. Moty, Gina, Jaxie on 3. So the bonus league, Monty still on 21. I joined Gina on 14. But it's going to have a Herculean effort to catch you somehow. Jaxie is on 8. Rating then, I mean, this was near perfect. We spoke about match of the night, which was the main event. So who's your MVP, and what's your score out of 10 for this show?
Whew, man, this was tough. I definitely had to stretch my MVP out a little bit. I wanted to definitely show love to Kalani and honorable mention anyway to Kalani and so Ruker. I felt like both their stocks rise, even if people didn't like what they did. Some people probably got introduced to them for the first time because of that match. And I think at the end of the day, sometimes when you're at this stage of NXT or in this stage of their careers, that's beautiful anyway. That you have more people who are knowledgeable about you. So when they do get to where we know that they have the potential to be down the line, people are gonna know their names and know who they're looking at. And I think that's one beautiful element of this particular night. Femi definitely deserves it, but honestly, I could not at the end of this night not give it to Ethan Page because I just felt like he gained the most in this particular situation. I just thought, for him to end up walking out as champion in Canada, doing the great heel work that he did, to be the one to take the belt off Trick Williams first, and now to activate the chase for Trick Williams, but at the same time have the Oro Mensah story, have the storyline of the contract and all the stuff he did to Ava. So we to how he kind of talked about himself to Ava, but kind of back that up and become champion so fast. It immediately, in my opinion, makes me interested in where we're going now in the all ego era of the NXT Championship. So I just thought he gained the most out of the entire night, but I felt like everybody I mentioned deserved some MVP love.
Yeah, I think my MVP is going to be young OG. And what would you score out of 10?
I think it's a 9. I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9.5. There's not many better shows. This was never on perfect. I will tell you that. And I've got a new button. I'm not sure if it works, but the show ended. Let's see if I can get this to work here. With this.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes, it's Joe Hendry. His face showed up at the end of Heatwave, and I lost my shit. There's no doubt about that. Is there a better tease to end a pay-per-view ever, Monty?
Probably not. Honestly, I can't. If it is one, I can't think of it off the top of my head. This was just expertly done, man, and I just the hype immediately right after. Again, I told you people were debating, and I don't know. They may even have an argument about this being better than Money in the Bank. And I think overall, probably with our ratings and just what we just talked about, it probably was better than Money in the Bank. Yeah, man, to just cap it off with the tease or just with the. In my opinion, it wasn't just a tease. It was just like a guarantee that we didn't necessarily know in what capacity, but at least guaranteed that Joe Hendry would be, here. We all said his name, and we all know what that means. Because as soon as you saw it, you had to be like, oh, Joe Hendry. You're like, So you know what I mean? Like, so we all know what's coming after that. So I think it was expertly done though, because if it's one thing I've noticed that WWE take notice when people garner the type of attention that Joe Hendry has garnered. Like it's American football players singing the Joe Hendry song. So I see it online the other day. So like he is really doing well for himself right now in the eyes. And I don't know, man. I don't want to accuse WWE of pulling a Tony Khan, but if he keeps pulling up the numbers that he's pulling on viewership, they will definitely be offering him something whenever his agreement with Impact is up.
Yeah, well, I've got to be careful because every time I mention his name, that button will go off. So we'll see what happens if we come to the last episode. But news, Damon Kemp is gone. Again, we're going to see him thrown in the back of a can't see the back of a boot even. But I mean, Damon Kemp, did he do well to last this long? You know, again,
I mean, he's better than his brother, you know, by far. And I definitely enjoy. I didn't hate Damon Kemp. Even I honestly I remember way back to the stuff he did with Gallus, like when he was out on the town with I forgot who it was. I want to say it was I forgot which one it was. Wolfgang. I want to say it was Wolfgang. He was out on the town drinking with, but I could be wrong. It was Mark Coffey or whatever. Either way, it was definitely he. You know, not to say that was that's the highlight of my mind is that vignette of just him going out and drinking and trashing Europe in many different ways, which just shows you about his NXT run. I think that pretty much puts into perspective what he accomplished in NXT. You know, and the Diamond Mine promo. Yes, yeah, the one time he got to show personality was when he turned up Diamond Mine. So yeah, he was cool. I didn't hate Damon, but I'm not surprised to see him go either, though.
No, I'm pretty sure he was part of the NXT UK jinx. I'm pretty sure anybody that was there during the dying days has gone. You know, let's not lie about it. That was departures. We've talked about injuries with Tyler Bate. Hope for recovery for him. Arrivals, Stephanie Vaquer, pissing off a lot of AEW fans after a match at Forbidden Door. She's a free agent, though. Come on. And this is, again, another signal of intent from WWE about who they want in NXT now.
Yeah, man. I already told you guys, and I know she's probably not going to be able to call my favorite move, a.k.a. the score fuck. I don't know what she's going to be able to call that, but I cannot wait to see her. I cannot wait to see her come smashing these nice, beautiful, athletic gymnast women heads into the mat, because between her and Julia, I just want everybody. I saw that they said Roxanne has been doing stiffer or been working stiffer matches on the tour to get ready for Julia. Get ready. That's all I'm gonna say about Stephanie, because man, I know they're gonna try to ingratiate them into the badass style. I know not to expect some of the stuff I'm used to from both Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, but I just feel like if they take too much from them, then that's not who you're signing. I think you still need them to be able to go, but at the same time, they definitely do not want to hurt the investment of these young NIL athletes and stuff that they're going to be training with.
There's a lot more injuries. Yeah,
but they're hurting themselves. So a lot of that ain't even happening in the ring. But you're right. You know, there's a lot of injuries happening, so they're gonna have to be careful. I understand, but man, by the way, Julia and Vaquer have fought in the past, and you know they were. Let's just say that they did not take any liberties with each other. So I would believe I cannot wait to see them both in NXT. But Stephanie's gonna be badass. I think a lot of people just didn't like how she did it, but if she was working on an agreement, like I tell you, promotions at the end of the day, I say what you want about Tony Khan, but he will exclusify your ass before he work with you on an agreement, because I think he knows that at the end of the day, everyone is watching, and that's where we at right now. So, WWE is not going to be having you working under a handshake agreement. She tried out for WWE in the past, didn't make it, but she always said that was her dream. So you have to be mindful of that type of stuff when you're doing business. And at the end of the day, I understand people being aggravated, but at the same time, it's what she want to do. It's her. I don't have a problem with anybody jumping to sign to AEW. And I think vice versa, because this is what they do. They're independent contractors. Same thing should be allowed. But you know how it is when WWE gets someone that everybody likes. It's a problem when they get them. But it's beautiful when everybody's released and allowed to go everywhere else.
Yeah.
So you know how it goes.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, we've got one more NXT to cover on
big.
this update, which is NXT July 9th. And again, yeah, we're looking forward to the future there. But we're speaking about All Ego Ethan Page. And he called out how it took him just 6 weeks to take over NXT. He declared the beginning of the era of Ego, but Trick Williams interrupted and wanted his rematch Tuesday night. I bet you panicked at that point. We all panicked. And they're going to switch the title straight away. But luckily, Sean Spears arrived to take credit for Page's win with chance of you screw Trick. John Evans reminded both heels that he almost beat them on Sunday, and a brawl broke out between the four men. Security came out with All Ego, stopping Mensa from attacking the champion. I will say the security in WWE at the moment must be getting paid overtime. Like, there is not a show that goes by where there's not like 10 or 12 security there. Tag team match was announced for the main event. Jensen talked with general manager Ava earlier in the night, promising to change. They got my hopes up when it was like, we were going to release you. And I was like, go on. But they didn't. He ended up accepting that second chance by attacking Evans in the back. Don't know why, but still, he's a prick. Page and Spears said they were on the same page and did not believe Trick. And Trick said he needed to find a friend. What did you think of all this nonsense to start us off, Monty? Because again, you took Javon Evans out and you're like, I wonder who Trick's going to get.
Yeah, I'm very interested, man, to see who. I wonder if we already have some signs of who could this possibly be. I don't know.
I don't know. Ariana Grace continued to call herself the better Canadian, but Carmen Petrovich let her actions speak louder than words. She won with a low cyclone kick to Grace. Like I said, nice kick. Afterwards, Fallon Henley attacked Petrovich from behind and laid her out, saying she was sick of these rookies. Amen, sister. Heritage Cup, Tony D versus Lexis King. Eddie Thorpe set up his DJ turntable on the stage. Hi, I'm Eddie Thorpe, playing you all the sick tunes. Ahead of their match, he defeated King after the first round, allowing the Don to hit the forget about it at the start of the second round for the first fall. King did pull out a surprise pinfall with a coronation, but a high spine buster from the Don picked up the second fall and the victory. I mean, do they know what they're doing with Lexis? Or is it just him gaining experience at the moment? Because he's just going to loss to loss, isn't he, at the moment?
No. I'm not even gonna guess that they do know, because I honestly don't know. But I do think that the experience part, I think that's where they want him at right now. They want him improving, which is interesting to say, none the least. But I do think he has something, but at some point he's going to have to grow out of, or just grow from, just being the neighborhood a-hole. Because that's pretty much all that he brings to the table now, is just being that guy who bothers everyone, So we'll see. But I honestly am one of those people who are not anti. I know a lot of people don't really like Lexis King, but I'm not anti him. I think he has potential. The problem is, like you mentioned, is just like, what do you do and where do you go with that potential? And I don't necessarily know if they feel like he's ready. I mean, and then another thing too is maybe you throw, and I hate to say this, feel like we're just throwing everybody to the cup because we're trying to keep him away from Overfemi. But like that spot used to be like, I feel like something a lot of times back in the day. And again, I don't think he's ready for it yet either, but a guy like Alexis King, who's doing what he's doing, usually ends up in that mid-card title slot, and he ends up cheating to win and stay champion. But I don't think anyone is expecting him to challenge Oba. So, I think he's just,
for Oba being champion.
Exactly. He's so dominant that some guys like that are gonna have to wait.
It could be worse. You could be Gallus. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang versus Tyson DuPont, Tori Igwe. Bro broke out during Gallus' entrance, but teams made it to the ring to allow referee to ring the bell. Coffey helped Wolfgang and Mark Coffey set up the double team finisher to seal the win that no one really cared about. What we did care about, though, was Wesley. He sounded ready to quit NXT, but he's interrupted by Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel, his friends from TNA, as part of the Rascals. Wentz told Lee it was time for MSK to get back together and the Rascals to take over. The three men hugged. I'm actually doing the Rascals thing at the moment. You can't see it, Monty. But again, these three guys, Gallus stood up to them backstage, promised to send them back to TNA. But I love this. You know, Wesley's been through so much. When you think about what happened with Zachary Wentz and losing in the NXT titles without losing, being nothing and building up what he did, and now this story here, it's just, I love it. You know, I love everything about it.
Yeah, man, it was so beautiful, so well done. I think my only thing I did chuckle at was that just I felt like when he was talking about quitting, I was like, at this point, Wish, you probably should, because you won't go after another belt. You won't they won't call you up. Like, you know what, Wish, just whatever. But no, 100%. Like I thought this is just so well done to have the Rascals to come out there again. I feel like right now, I don't know if what it is, but they're listening to the people, you know. And I think if you're gonna do something that is so unprecedented in WWE, which is actually working shoulder to shoulder with another promotion, you know, actually acknowledging the existence of TNA, allowing that to even be a thing. I love the fact that you're listening to what the fans of Impact, fans of NXT, people who realize these relationships. Let's not act like these relationships don't exist when it's right there, and let's also not act like MSK didn't exist. You know what I mean? I just love all of that. You know, stuff that in the past that when you were in WWE, you were wondering why we kind of had what we had, but to kind of see what we're getting now, I think honestly was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Pretty cool. And it's one of those moments that honestly, even as somebody like me who wouldn't even say I'm a fan of the Rascals, but I became a fan of the Rascals primarily after Wesley and him came to WWE. Like, I knew of them, and I knew of Trey Miguel when they left, but I didn't watch a lot of them in Impact. So to see them, to watch them get this moment, knowing how much this meant to a lot of people who watch Impact, and just them too, and you can see that it meant a lot to them. This is just well done.
Well, and the thing is as well, you know, and again, we're going into more detail on the next update about the kind of TNA NXT relationship, and a lot of people going, well, you know, they're getting, you know, the Rascals and the other fella, better not say his name, on NXT, and, you know, what are Impact getting? And again, it's Impact's not seen to a bigger audience as NXT, so it would make sense the other way around. And, you know, we had an Impact pay-per-view where the Rascals did wrestle, you know, no quarter catch crew. So Dempsey is still getting his reps there, you know, in Impact, and they're doing their stuff. So, again, let's just hold out for the moment. At the moment, it seems to be working really, really well.
And I think with viewership, you want TNA to kind of... TNA is the one who's benefiting, in my opinion, from the exposure. You know, not to say that NXT guys wouldn't benefit from going to TNA, or they wouldn't get that same benefit if the other guys went to TNA. I think that it works both ways, but I just feel like I feel like seeing some of these guys, you're opening up their eyes. Like, maybe somebody never seen Trey Miguel before is gonna try to watch more Impact now, or same thing with Jordan Grace.
Yeah, without a doubt. Ridge Holland told Hale that he got her a match with Dame that could lead to an NXT Women's Championship if she won. He then told Hudson that he would face Femi next week for the North American Championship. I thought Robert Stone and Stevie Turner were going to be romance, but is it Ridge Holland having an affair with Ava? I mean, how did he get these matches, you know?
How does he still have a job? Is what you really
exactly.
That's what you really want
Reach
to know.
the fridge for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, Thea Hale beat Izzy Dame. Izzy was on Impact, losing to Grace last week. So, again, like we said, Izzy Dame getting experience and will retire soon because she had to face Jordan Grace. Oba Femi interrupted the celebration to taunt his challenger next week. If it was any other wrestler interrupting a women's match, I'll be upset, but it was Oba Femi, so we're cool. The MVP, Duke Hudson, cut a passionate promo promising to upset the North American champion. Come on, no one believes it. We see Paxley, Tate Paxley, remember her? She told her doll that she was targeting Dame because she was a bully who felt she was above playing with women like Paxley. Wendy Chu found the doll afterwards and smiled because we don't know what to do with Wendy Chu either. But I guess gold and dolls are maybe like an anagram of each other.
I was wondering, man. I was like, what happened to the belt? What happened to the belt obsession? They dropped the best thing about her already.
Who knows? OTM versus OC. Nima and Prince planted Anderson with a double team finisher for the victory. Michin continued to fight with Parker at ringside despite officials interfering. This should have been more, man. You know what I mean? Like the Good Brothers losing on NXT, and this was just kind of throwaway. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of the OC.
I was about to say, are you taking this for the OC right now? Oh man, no, yeah. Again, this wasn't the blow off. I think because the thing is they've invested so much time, and let's just be honest, the women's version of this feud has been way more interesting than what the guys part in this feud. So yeah, but like with all the time they invested with the Michin and the Jada Parker feud, you would expect this to have a lot more to it than it did. I do agree there.
No court catch crew through Damon Kemp. Into a car trunk, saying mistakes will not be tolerated. Ren Sinclair walked away promising she saw nothing. Now I got really confused because I thought Ren Sinclair was with Blade and Anofi, but they're not, are they? She's not.
No, that's not the same.
Right, okay, cool. Well, that's fine. Because I thought it's a bit weird that they're doing that. But again, am I the cunt here? Because why are no court catch through doing Tony D's gimmick? Like, when did that happen? Is it?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I think somebody called or something happened to where people were saying our guy is boring. So they feel like to make him not bored, he needs to become Tony D'Angelo.
Honestly,
and that's what they do. They insert the woman, kind of like we got the woman in the D'Angelo family. So insert Ren, and she obviously either has a crush. I don't know if there's a crush. I don't know what it is, to be honest. It's kind of a funny, weird relationship. They're trying to make personality come out of, Dempsey, which is fine. But
personality is not going to come out of Dempsey if his only look is looking up at the sky. Like, do you know what I mean?
Just rolling his eyes every time.
It's like, come on, Dempsey.
That's the personality, him rolling his eyes.
So Ruka versus Fallon Henley, and so hit the Snow Snatcher, but JC Jane and Nick stormed the ring and caused a DQ, protect Henley from the pin. Stevie Turner organised the meeting with Cedric Alexander, and Ava Mr. Stone was like, look, I've got someone much better. Look, here he is now, Ashante Lee Adonis. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan, but
I'm happy to see Cedric.
Cedric's great, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know about the other fella. And then finally, Trick Williams versus Ethan Page and Sean Spears. Well, Trick Williams walked out confident before his surprise partner arrived. It was Joe fucking Hendry.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's going to kick on that. Well, his strength was on display early and often in this battle. Page and Spears finally got control until Aura Mensa struck, attacking the NXT champion. Trick hit the chairman with a trick knee, followed by the standing ovation. A lot of people calling it a high choke slam. It's a standing ovation, boys and girls, with Joe Hendry getting the victory. Yes, we believe. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
This was really good, man. This is good fun. The crowd were loving it, over the moon to see Joe Hendry. It made all the sense in the world based off the tease. Don't really know the relationship, but that don't really matter.
Who cares?
Why he was helping.
How do we get on, Monty? Do you know what I mean? Maybe he reached out on X. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great point. Like, you don't need a lot of explanation, but who cares? You know, it was a great time. I just want to say I came away from this match after having the time of my life watching Joe and watching Trick team together, and I just came away with the thought process after seeing other people talk about it, that Will Ospreay has ruined professional wrestling. Because there's a lot of people who never seen Hendry wrestle, saw him wrestle today. They knew about the character, they heard the song, and it was so many people who just said, oh, he don't seem like, he seems pretty basic in the ring. And I'm just like, what happened to wrestling to where you have to be doing, you know what I mean? you don't have everyone who wrestles is not Kurt Angle doing, they're not this guy or they're not Rey Mysterio. They don't have you don't have to be Will Ospreay to be a good wrestler to be really over. And I think that's what we're losing a lot of time in some of these conversations. Kind of going back to what we were talking about with Saul Rucker or talking about with Trick Williams and even with Ethan Page. Like, what happened to enjoying people's character or enjoying who they, like getting over in other ways, being creative. You don't have to go out there and do every move that you ever heard of and ever seen put together in a match to be a good wrestler. And I think that's kind of like the only thing that I took away from it that was kind of disappointing to see from like people's reception of it, because after watching the actual match and just watching how good, him and Trick Williams worked together and the way everything played out, I had the time of my life. And I thought that's what wrestling was about. Enjoying it, the energy.
Not many wrestlers, can find the hard camera. And Joe is just one of those guys that finds it. But again, I don't think I've ever seen two guys teaming up and that I thought, this is the closest we're ever going to get to like a Moty and James tag team. Like, do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
Two different worlds coming together. Yeah,
I really noticed it when he tried to dance the Trick song. I was like, yeah. That's probably how James would look. Trying to dance that song.
I think we'll leave it there, all right? Because obviously the next update, we're going to have the Great American Bash, and we'll catch up. So just before we go, Monty, this is quite an easy question this month. What are your thoughts on NXT from what we've seen? And again, what are your hopes for the future? And we've already seen like half a month. So
right. I don't want to be, I don't want to be an empath here or whatever, whoever can see the future. But anyway, psychic. But yeah, no, I believe. I think that's basically a great way to kind of sum this one up. I believe that not only is NXT in a really good place right now with the relationships, using Impact and all of that, but also I think just in general where we are, even with the championship changes, just the way things have been executed, where we are, and again, I talk about this all the time. Even if NXT just seems like I'm not gonna say a confusing situation, but again, at the end of the day, you say whatever you want about NXT, Shawn Michaels is gonna get people TV time, and I appreciate that. We may be lost to a certain extent sometimes, but at the same time, I kind of appreciate everybody kind of getting something, even if it's just showing up backstage one week and then a couple weeks later they're in a match, and you're like, oh, okay, you can see who you are. I love that. I still love that element. I think going forward, NXT is going to be in a really good place because of the foundation that they're continuing to build, and I just think the potential is there. Like we still, as good as it's been with NXT, we still haven't seen anywhere near as good as it possibly can be. The working relationship with Impact, and like you said, even for Impact. So I think we have the potential for the rest of this year to be even better going forward. People are going to improve, and I think the storytelling, as we move on and get fresher storylines going forward, I'm excited. But I'm also excited to see with the man who we believe in. I want to see what is he going to do? Is he just here? Is he going to be a title? We're going to get a title feud out of this. What's coming? And I think that's what they accomplished with the teaser at the end of Heatwave, and the way NXT ended the episode after was just a perfect way to be like, okay, I want to see more of Hendry. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right. And again, I love the fact, and again, patting ourselves on the back, with this update as well, that we've kind of bookended it with him as well, and we're going to pick right off. But, one last thing, Monty. Do you want to say his name and see if the button works?
Joe Hendry.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
It may be the greatest thing I've ever done on the podcast. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter.
You still haven't caught up on Impact?
No, I'm up to
You have to incorporate the button, the Impact, by the way. I'm just saying, got to bring the button.
Well, mate, next week SummerSlam party is going to be banging. Like that button, just constant. Like I said, on Twitter, I'm at the WNRJR. You find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, at my Monty Pod, like you said, on Twitter, I'll be posting my links there. I'm doing a couple of gaming testing streams, so I might send out links to let people join and see how that looks out in the near future. But just keep tabs on me at my Monty Pod on Twitter.
Yeah, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email, thedublinpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube, Blum Podcast with all latest clips and podcasts got the same time. You should do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Next episode is our SummerSlam party. And Monty, I can officially announce that there will be a history of SummerSlam quiz. I have spent time coming up with this, so I hope it pays off. You know, like I said, so maybe you have to kind of, I don't know.
I can't wait to hear the girl.
The answers will be easy. I mean, Jackson Jin are going to struggle. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
We all know
I
this.
want to see. Can't wait to hear their answers. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited.
It's good. And again, not to ruin anything, but we will have a mass debate. And obviously one of them, I can exclusively reveal now, will be CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. So I'm looking forward to that. Whoever wants to take me on there will be a very fine battle. But that's it. Till then, I've been James Rowlands, was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, I appreciate you joining me for the NXT update, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Always a good time. This is just as fun as the other ones, and I can't wait to catch all the way up. And I'm also excited. I mean, SummerSlam, man. So far, this card looks really difficult. I don't know if I can keep my little perfect streak in WWE going, man, because this does look pretty difficult.
Well, we'll see what happens. Thanks for this, everybody, and bye.
Name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.